Good evening. It's 7 o'clock on August 3rd on the East Coast. This is Kunchab Tardu Lane, also known as the Tibet Center, a Tibetan Buddhist meditation and study center in New York City and New Jersey. We've been around since 1975. We hope to be around a lot longer. This is our twice weekly presentation of currently the Lamrim Chenmo, but it's usually a Buddhist, classic Buddhist text. So I hope everyone there is healthy and bearing with the lockdowns. So we'll start as usual with prayer for the spread of Buddhism in the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teaching flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing, they are not impure or pure, they neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought. There are no quality of mind consciousness. Excuse me. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, O son of noble family. Profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world, with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. And now the Refuge and Bodhisattva vow. And last week someone texted, what verses am I saying? at the end. What I'm saying is the verse that says, as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, that one is the verse 55 of the 10th chapter of Shantadeva's book. The next three verses, 56, 57, and 58, are what I recite after that. I asked India what the story is. I'd like to recite those three. They said, yeah, it follows nicely. So that's why we've incorporated that into our little repertoire. We say it three times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as sentient beings remain, as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, my computer just went off and came back. Until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. So you have here the motivation of Bodhicitta, let the pains ripen on me. You have the prayer for the continuation of the teachings, and you have the prayer of gratitude to Manjagosha, who's the Buddha's wisdom in personified, and then our teachers who delivered this wisdom, because we're not in the position to see the glorious forms of the Buddha. So that's that. So those are the three verses. They'll probably be put into the regular repertoire. So we're doing the last part of chapter 7 of the LAMAUG32020, Chenmo, and then we'll move on to chapter 8, right? It's in sequence. I'll mention it now, I'll mention it again tonight. His Holiness is beginning a nice series of teachings. They're starting at, I think, 11:30 our time, according to his website. So be advised. If you can't stay up, drink a lot of espresso. If you still can't stay up, you can watch it as an archive the next day. So we'll start with a quote from the Descent into the Womb Sutra. This is LAMAUG32020, Chenmo, and I was reminded to give you the citations. This is page 120 of volume 1 and 121 of the LAMAUG32020, Tsongkhapa's translation. So, the translation of Tsongkhapa's work. It'll be all right, don't worry. This is Descent of the Womb Sutra, a direct quote from the sutras. Even though you have been born a human with such limitless sufferings, you still have the best of situations. It is difficult to attain this even in 10 million eons. Even when deities die, the other deities say, may you have a happy rebirth. By happy rebirth, they mean a human rebirth. So it's, again, reinforcing the point of how fortunate our life is because of what we can do with it. So now we move to page 121, in case you're keeping score. So Tsongkhapa's talking now. Why would I waste the attainment of such a good life? When I act as though it was insignificant, I am deceiving myself. What could be more foolish than this? Just this once, I am free from continuously trekking the many narrow cliff paths of leisureless conditions such as the miserable realms. Good metaphor for a Tibetan. If I waste the freedom and return to those conditions, it would be similar to losing my mind, like someone dazed by a magic spell. So for them, it's very serious. So page 122, he has a direct quote, which I'll read right out of the thing. Arya Aryasura says, human life plants the seed for going beyond cyclic existence, the supreme seed of glorious enlightenment. Human life is a stream of good qualities, better than a wish-granting jewel. Who here would attain it and then waste it? We have to reinforce this in our minds, because otherwise we fritter away time with silliness or watching politics or whatever. So Shantideva says, nothing more deluded and nothing more confused than for me to have found such leisure and yet not to cultivate virtue. After I have recognized this, if I remain idle through confusion, great sorrow will befall me at the time of my death. Yes, most people don't know the type of life they're in. We've been told. And we've been told it against the background of all the possible existences you can have. So, it's your choice. When my body roasts for a long time in the intolerable fires of hell, blazing flames of unbearable regret will certainly ravage my mind. So it's not only the physical, but the mental sufferings. This is a rare and helpful situation. Somehow I have found it by chance. If, despite my intelligence, I am drawn again to hell, then like one bewildered by a magic spell, I will have simply lost my wits. What is it within me that causes this confusion? I don't even know this. Yeah. Geshe Damtampa asked Jenya, are you mindful that you have a human life with leisure and opportunities? And Jenyama said, no, he didn't say that. He said, each time I enter into meditation, I think that. How important it is. Now I have independence and favorable conditions. If I do not take full advantage of this time, I will plunge into the abyss and fall under the control of others. Who will lift me out? Which is true, you're impelled then. You're not on your own power once you drop this life. In this life we are, and we can create situations where we can propel ourselves properly into a better existence next time. Or as good an existence. This is a very good one that we have now. So page 123, Tsong now gives you a little tip. Contemplate the great importance of leisure and opportunity in this way. With respect to your final goals, also reflect on how important they are in terms of your temporary goals. Our final goal, obviously, is complete enlightenment for the benefit of sentient beings, Buddhahood. But in the meantime, unless we're really good, we're not going to get there in this life. So we need the conditions that propel us to practice in easier conditions than we have now. The teachings available, we have the right physical composition, etc. So he's just saying, bring that to mind. So that is, consider how you can easily achieve with this life qualities such as generosity, ethical discipline, and patience, which are the causes of resources, perfect attendance, and the body being in high status. In other words, rebirth as a human or deity. Those are the causes, your ethics, your generosity, your patience. Those are the causes of a good situation in the next life, not just a human rebirth, but all the conditions around that human rebirth. In this way, this life is very important in terms of attaining high status and certain goodness. Again, the technical terms for a good rebirth and then ultimate Buddhahood. If I were to waste it and not strive day and night to create the causes of these two goals, it would be as if I were returning empty-handed from a land of jewels. Also, I will be bereft of happiness in the future and will not obtain a life of leisure. Without leisure, I will undergo continual sufferings. Thus, what kind of self-deception is worse than this? Now, these things you don't have to make a big deal out of. It's just your mental attitude. Having a generous mental attitude, a patient attitude. You don't have to run out and buy things and give them out. It's the lack of grasping to things that's generosity. You're willing to give. Your patience to bear things, whatever comes to you. So it's not a special project you have to undergo. You shouldn't think about it that way. We could do this with our own minds easily. We're wandering with these thoughts. These are the right thoughts to have in your mind. So also we'll quote from page 123, our friend and yours. Arya Sura says, those who have obtained the human life rich in virtues through a collection of merit over innumerable eons, it took us a long time to get here, and who then, due to confusion in this life, fail to accumulate even the slightest treasury of merit, will in future lifetimes enter the house of unbearable sorrow. like the traders who go to a land of jewels and return home empty-handed. Without the karmic paths of the 10 virtues, you will not obtain a human life again. There's the key. 10 virtues. And this exists in the mind. Most of us aren't running out, stealing and throwing things out the window. So it's your mind. That's it. Just watch your thoughts, correct the wrong ones. How can there be happiness without a human life? Without happiness, there is only suffering. Therefore, you have only deceived yourself before going to the next life. There is nothing more confused than this. And Shantideva also said, once you have given this body wages and bonuses, you must make it act for your welfare. Do not give it everything if it does not help you. And his idea, again, is the metaphor of a human body as a boat to get you across the river of suffering. So that's the benefit of the body. People lose that point. They get all excited about their physical appearance. So a question from page 124 of volume 1 of the LAMAUG32020. I hope it's not boring. I'll just keep reciting this citation. So why is a human life of leisure and opportunity so hard to find? She asks. The answer is, it is because beings of the happy realms, humans and the like, are frequently involved in such ignoble activities as the 10 non-virtues. Because of this, they are reborn in the miserable realms. So we sort of get mesmerized by the attractions of this world, and if we don't watch our minds, we wind up doing non-virtuous things. Why are they non-virtuous? Because they hurt others and ourselves. That's all, isn't it? So Aryadev's 400 says, humans for the most part are involved in things ignoble. Therefore, most ordinary beings will surely go to the miserable realms. Sometimes I think the people don't know. They haven't been told what they should do or not do. And it's sad that they don't know this. And they're not bad people, but they're doing things that are obviously going to cause them trouble in the future. So what's the situation? That's our job. Our job, if you have the Mahayana attitude, Bodhisattva attitude, to get the message out somehow. Skillfully if you can, because you can't just preach at them like, like a Southern Baptist on the subway there. No, that's not going to work. Well, so that's why we study, we watch enlightened beings, we see how we can present this message. We're in the same world, it's going to benefit us too. So, Khapa says, for instance, for even a single moment of anger toward a bodhisattva, you must stay for an eon in the unrelenting hell. He's talking about effects. Now that anger has to be premeditated, has to be done thoroughly, and has to be thought about after. Yeah, that was good. Those three things make it that powerful, so it destroys that amount of merit. So that goes for all the karmic acts you do. You premeditate, you do it fully, you complete the act, and then you say how great it was that you did it. That's heavy karma. And then in the negative side, in the positive side, it's very heavy the other way. I want to give this, I do it properly, and I rejoice. So a quick snapshot of karma. As this is so, it goes without saying that you will have to stay for many eons in the miserable realms on account of having in your mind stream the imprints of many sins that you have previously accumulated over many lifetimes. These imprints have not been erased by an antidote and have not yet issued their effects. Still, if you completely clear away previously accumulated causes of miserable rebirths and restrain yourself from engaging in these causes again, you are assured of a happy rebirth. Assured. Wow, we're in good hands. However, doing this is extremely rare. He knows. If you do not act in this way, you will be reborn in a miserable realm. Once there, you will not cultivate virtue, but you will continually commit sins. You will not even hear the phrase happy realm for many eons. Therefore, a human life of leisure and opportunity is very difficult to obtain. I won't go through the turtle and the yolk because that depresses me. I don't know. So Shantideva, I have a note to quote Shantideva on page 125, so we'll go right to the horse's mouth here. With behavior such as mine, I will not attain a human body again. If I do not attain it, I will commit sin and never be virtuous. If I do not cultivate virtue, even when I have the chance to do so, what virtue will I cultivate in a miserable realm, completely confused by suffering? If I cultivate no virtue and accumulate sins, I will not even hear the name happy realms for a billion eons. Thus the Bhagavan said that this human life is as difficult to obtain as a sea turtle to put its neck into a yoke tossing about on the vast ocean, unless he has GPS. No, I'm being snide. Maybe. If even a single moment's wrongdoing causes you to abide the unrelenting hell for an eon, it goes without saying you will not enter a happy realm, due to sins heaped up since beginningless time. So they're sort of reading the riot act to us. It's very easy to get all these good things for the next life, just in the mind. So, it's calling nobody. Question. When I experience the suffering of the miserable realms, I will be extinguishing previously bad karma, and then I will be reborn in a happy realm. Hence, getting out of the miserable realms is not difficult. This is from Chen Mo, page 125. The answer is, not so. Sorry. While you are experiencing the sufferings of the miserable realms, you're constantly accumulating sins. That's what you do in the lower realms. You get mad, you throw things away, whatever. Therefore, although you may die in a miserable realm, you will continue to be reborn in a miserable realm. Because of this, getting out of the miserable realm is difficult. So that's something else to put into your mental calculation. Shantideva says, experiencing only the effects of that karma, you will not get out. While experiencing the effects, you create other sins. That's chapter 4, verse 22 of the Bodhisattva Karyavatara, if you're interested. So now on page 126, the Lamram Sankapa weighs in. After you have reflected on the difficulty of obtaining a human life of leisure and opportunity in this way, develop the desire to take full advantage of such a life. Think, if I use this life for wrongdoing, it is all extremely wasteful. In the light of this, I will spend my life practicing the sublime teachings. Your thoughts, most important. That's all. So in order to develop the sort of fully qualified desire to take full advantage of a life of leisure, you must reflect on it in 4 elements. So Sankapa is saying, here's how you motivate yourself to make the best of this life and to get a good spot in the next life. So, good spots. Yeah, I think like in New York. In order to develop these 4 elements now. 1, the need to practice the teachings because all living beings want only happiness and do not want suffering, and because achieving happiness and alleviating subtle suffering depends only on practicing the teachings. So you have to practice. And by the way, that's the purpose of the teachings. Every word Buddha said was to relieve suffering. That's it. 2, the other element, the ability to practice because you should consider this, endowed with the external conditions, the teacher, and the internal conditions, leisure and opportunity. So you're set up. The third point to consider is the need to practice in this lifetime, because if you do not practice, it will be very difficult to obtain leisure and opportunity again for many lifetimes. And 4th point, the need to practice right now, because there is no certainty when you will die. So among these, the 3rd stops the laziness of giving up, which thinks, I'll practice the teachings in future lives. Yeah, that's what I'll do. The 4th stops the laziness of disengagement, which thinks, although I should practice in this life, it's enough to practice later on when I'm old and not practice in my early years, months, and days. Good luck with that. Therefore, it is acceptable to create a list of these qualities by subsuming these into one thing, practicing quickly. In other words, now you've heard, do your best to practice. And what does that mean? That means you prostrate 10,000 times, you sit still for 3 years. It means you change your mind. So that a crappy thought comes up, you say, no. A good thought comes up, yes, I agree, and you try to embellish that good thought. That's all. You can do that, relaxing. In fact, that's what you should do when you relax. You'll be happier. Try it out. In this case, mindfulness of death is indeed relevant here, but I will explain it later. Otherwise, this will become too wordy. They'll always get copping out. I fear it would be too verbose. Well, he's going to do a whole section on dying, and we will do a good one. When we get to that section, we'll bring in His Holiness's book on dying, Sele Natsuk Rangrod's book, Mirror of Mindfulness, and of course, the primer, Death, Intermediate State, and Rebirth. and whatever else I can find that'll make it entertaining. May even be musical accompaniments, I don't know. So if you reflect on this human life of leisure and opportunity from many perspectives, you'll greatly affect your mind. Try it. Therefore, contemplate as instructed above. If you cannot do this, condense this material into 3 topics. 1, what the nature of leisure and opportunity is. 2, how it is important in terms of temporary and final goals. And 3, how it is difficult to obtain in terms of its causes and effects. Then take the advice from above explanation and do whatever accords with your mind and meditate on it. In other words, find the points that you could feel comfortable with. Be creative. You got the points. Embellish them the way you want. With respect to how it is difficult to obtain a human life of leisure and opportunity in terms of causes, consider the following. Now, everything is caused. People think, they'll roll of dice, and I'll just sit there quietly, and the universe will send me to a good place. I've heard that. Yeah, they'll send you. No, you send yourself. You're in charge. So, sunk upon page 127. In general, even to obtain just a happy rebirth, you must cultivate a single pure virtue, such as ethical discipline, just for the birth itself. So the main cause, not the contributor, but the main cause of a good rebirth is ethics, our ethics, ethical behavior. In particular, to obtain complete leisure and opportunity requires many roots of virtue, such as having a foundation of pure ethical discipline, augmenting it with generosity and the like, and when dying, make a connection with your next lifetime through stainless apparitional prayers. Very important. At the end of life, the right aspirational prayer. What never fails is, may I be of use to people. May I be of use removing human beings suffering, no matter what. That's a compassionate wish. Let me be a tool of compassion. Rinpoche said, you can do your sadhanas if you're very good. If you're not, they may not work, but compassion never fails. So I take that seriously, that advice, given a long time ago. Yeah. As this is so, it is obvious that very few achieve such courses. Therefore, once you have understood this, reflect on the difficulty of obtaining the general effect, the life in a happy realm, and the particular effect, a human life with leisure and opportunity. I'm going to elaborate on this a little more when Geshe Sopa weighs in. The difficulty of obtaining a human life of leisure and opportunity in terms of the effects is as follows. Compared to the number of beings in the miserable realms, beings unlike us, even a mere rebirth in a happy realm seems almost non-existent. Think of the multitude of insects, animals, etc. Say nothing of the beings we can't see, hungry ghosts and hell beings, etc. Huge. Even compared to the number of beings in the happy realms, a special life of leisure is very rare. Meditate on this. Yes, a whole bunch of people in this world, they're very well off, but the ones that have leisure and opportunity, very rare. How many of our friends never heard of Buddhism or whether don't seem to be interested? No, it doesn't have to be Buddhism, it has to be the right behavior. Some do naturally, some don't. So Geshe Pal greatly valued the teachings on the difficulty of obtaining leisure and opportunity. Thus he said that the practice of all the teachings follow from this one. Since this is so, strive at it. So now Geshe Sopa, a very modern approach, says, this is from his Lamrim Volume 1. He has a 5-volume series of commentaries on the Lamrim. The last one being very difficult. It's the Insight section. But very, very well done piece of work. It's a gem, a classic. And the language is very modern, so it flows. It's easy to get the ideas. Without it, I would be dead. So Geshe Sopa says on page 246 and 247 of his Lamrim 1, this entire Lamrim text is about taking the essence of this life. Here at the beginning, we are urged to make use of this precious opportunity, such an exhortation can come from your teacher, from your friends, or even from within yourself, most importantly. You're your own guru. So, after you have studied the teachings, it is important that you do something meaningful with your life. You must take the essence of this opportune life. The heart essence of this life is not to be found in any temporary achievements. It is to be found in the attainment of the highest final goal. Not being president, this or that, the highest final goal, Buddhahood. The first step is to think about why this life is so fortunate and wonderful. If you do not recognize the precious opportunity you have, you may waste it. To give you an idea of how precious human life is, imagine the following situation. Very nice little story. If a poor person happens upon a precious jewel, he or she has to recognize what has been found in order for it to be of any use for him or her. What is this? Piece of junk? Throw it out. No, you idiot. That's a diamond. So if he or she thinks it's just a stone, it will be thrown away, and a precious opportunity will have been missed. However, if the value is realized, then the jewel can be sold, and freedom from hunger, thirst, and poverty will be realized. Now, suppose that he or she does recognize the value, but their home is in a dangerous place where there are many thieves. They will think, I must make use of this precious gift before I lose it. That's our life. We don't realize what the gem we have in our hands, even more valuable than a gem, because the things we gain from this life go on life after life. Anything material that we find here, it ends with our breaths. So that's it. The basis of taking the essence of life is to recognize three things. 1, how special it is. 2, how useful it is. And 3, how suddenly you can lose your life and how difficult it is to obtain such a life again. So that's condensed, easy to remember. 1, the first thing you have to do is become aware of what you have already achieved, the freedom and good qualities of a human life. And these did not come about randomly. We all worked hard and did meritorious things, probably said prayers, just to get this life. You can't throw it away, We forget because our minds don't go back to past lives, at least mine doesn't. So we don't know. So now we've been told, and I trust these beings. They trust them totally. And it's up to you to develop your own trust by reading their works and see if they make sense. The second point, how useful it is. You must contemplate its great value. If you don't care or don't pay attention, you will not see the worth of what you actually have in your hands. The third point is to contemplate how difficult it is to obtain such a precious opportunity. Like most valuable things, this type of life is very difficult to obtain again. Realizing these facts will result in a strong inclination to practice. The urge to use your life properly will naturally emerge, and this is the key to all of Buddhist psychology. You don't try, I gotta practice. No. You look at the situation here. What tools do I have? The situation that you're gonna die. Can I assure a very good rebirth? Think those things over. Naturally, you're inclined. You're naturally motivated with logic. It doesn't fail. It doesn't depend on your mood or this or that or your energy level. Logic trumps everything. I hate to use that word, but in the Shantideva passage we read before, there is nothing more deluded and nothing more confused. Remember that Shantideva is talking to himself here. We should imitate that. The internal dialogue is most important. Shantideva is not telling him, right? He's talking to himself. Most deluded, most confused if I don't use this life. He's not talking to you or to anyone else. I thought he was. Well, he is exhorting himself to practice now that he has obtained such freedom and opportunity. We must do exactly the same thing. It doesn't do you any good to judge others. It won't help you to criticize people. He's doing this, she's doing that, he's stupid, she's bad. You should be looking at yourself, asking, what am I doing? What am I thinking? How am I spending my life? Once you know what should be done, you can make your life meaningful by measuring your actions against the teachings. Those are the ultimate metric, against the teachings. If you check your own mind this way, then naturally your life will become fruitful. Good point. It's all internal. The great Geshe Domtampa told his student Chen, do you remember that you have obtained the leisure and opportunities of a human life? You can ask yourself this from time to time. When you feel lazy and don't want to do some virtuous activity, or are possessed by bad thoughts and feel the urge to act harmfully or use your life for some non-virtuous purpose, ask yourself, do you remember the value of your human life? Yes, you. No, yeah, I mean, he's being very kind-hearted here. He's worked a lot with Western students. He's a wonderful man. So I like the way he puts this. Asking yourself this question may cause you to suddenly wake up and become aware of whatever negative tendencies are arising in your mind. You'll find yourself thinking, oh yes, these thoughts and actions should definitely be avoided. We have habits. These thoughts slide in because we're so used to them. We don't throw them out as they should be. And worse, sometimes we act on them. So the whole thing is watching the gate watcher in your mind has to be active all the time. In a relaxed manner. Don't get tense like this. No. It'll happen. Don't beat yourself up when you fail because you're going to fail constantly. But slowly you get better at it. You get better at it. With such a realization, you'll be able to save yourself from a lot of suffering. This is real practice. Practice does not mean just sitting somewhere without moving. Practice means working on what you do with your body, speech, and especially with your mind. It means learning to recognize the negative attitudes that create negative action. It means fighting those inner enemies with the wisdom that arises through studying and concentrating. Initially, it means temporarily subduing each negative thought with a particular antidote, initially. Then, as your wisdom grows stronger, the antidotes increase in power, and gradually the negative thoughts arise less frequently and negative actions slowly disappear. Just by your will, just by your constant application of it, suddenly the force of these negative actions are not as strong, they don't come up anymore. That seems to be the nature of our mind. We can direct what goes on in the mind. And we have to, otherwise you suffer. So here's Geshe Sopa again, on page 259 of his Lamrim 1. You have the freedom to practice training your mind in a positive way to avoid negative thoughts and actions. You have all the opportune conditions. If you do not use this chance once, you lose this human life. You begin to fall without control. We have, with this brain, strong control over our mind, etc. When the elements dissolve, central control is lost, then you're on at the whim of your karma. It could be very frightening. It's what's this, what's going on, what's that. So it's very important to train this mind now and to eliminate all these negative thoughts that could come out. You are more or less helpless, like the metaphor of the bucket banging down. It easily falls down into the well, very hard for it to come up. So easy for us to go low and samsara, very hard to come up. So it is as if you had scaled a high peak. Tibetan likes mountains. You scaled a high peak. The mountain was difficult to climb, and you endured great hardship over a most difficult and dangerous route to reach the summit. Once you are there, you have to be careful not to slip, because there is a danger of a bad fall. If you take a few steps in the wrong direction, you will fall down into an abyss. Your fall will be rapid and forceful. You will be helpless and have no control. That's the way it goes. So, very important. You can achieve a higher birth with the 4 excellent qualities of a human life. And what are they? They are an exceptional body, 1, 2, wealth, 3, a retinue of friends, and 4, the capacity to succeed at whatever you do. There are causes for all these excellent human qualities, and here they are. Very important to listen to these. Very good layout. The main cause for birth as a human being is pure ethical conduct. Okay, without pure morality, you can't be born as a human being, number 1. Second, the cause for wealth, food, clothing, and all the necessities of a comfortable life is the practice of charity, generosity, charity, whatever. If in past lives you generously gave gifts to those in need, in a subsequent life you easily obtain material comfort. On the other hand, if you were miserly in the past, then even though you might be born a human, you'll be poor and deprived. The cooperating conditions you have to have causes for them too. Not just the main cause for human birth, but the cause of the cooperating conditions. Another point. Some people find themselves surrounded by fine, supportive companions. They are attractive to others who in turn are kind, helpful, and friendly to them. Other people do not find this sort of easy good fellowship. The difference is in whether they created the cause of this true friendship, and that is patience. Cause of true friendship being like patience. Also, patience is the cause of a good human face, body, etc. The practice of persevering effort is also important. If in the past you diligently tried to finish every virtuous undertaking, you will now be able to complete whatever you start. Big problem for most of us. Some people energetically begin whatever they do, practice, study, or work, but then they quickly lose interest. They drop the task at hand and quickly pick up something else. This is due to a lack of perseverance in the past. Some people seem to attain meditative stability easily. This is not because they have a different inherent nature, but because of past karma. Not because their mind of this or that past karma. What we did in the past ripens. So if you practice meditative stabilization in the past, the result will be good concentration in the present. If you haven't done such practice previously, you may find that your mind constantly jumps around. You may have trouble concentrating and experience difficulty stabilizing your mind. Yes, we will, but we have to do that now, because this is then the previous life to the next one, where we will attain concentration easily. The lay show, as LAMAUG says, leftover karma. You didn't finish the job here, but it's gathering energy, and it will ripen next life. So, therefore, you can see that even if you are only seeking a happier human rebirth in the future, you should take the opportunity to practice the perfections of morality, charity, patience, effort, and meditative stabilization, not to mention wisdom. All right, we mentioned. Let's say a word. So, these are his points. Geshe Soap on his page 260 of his volume 1. So, it is difficult to create these causes in any life other than a human rebirth. In a human life, you can act ethically, practice patience, and generously give to the poor, sick, and deprived. If you want a high birth in your next life, you only need to practice this way. This is the value of human life. It has the capacity to plant the seeds for both the ultimate goal of enlightenment and the temporary goal of another excellent human rebirth. We can't see this. We don't see past, present, future, so we don't have the full confidence in this, but we have to develop trust in these teachings, in these teachers that gave it, knowing more about them. And if this is the case, and I think it is, I believe it, then we're foolish, and we'll just do this and that happens. Okay. So the point is that once you have obtained the human rebirth, you have vast opportunities to build up upon that basis. But in order to do that, you have to be concerned with how you use your life. If you don't seize the moment and make this life meaningful, your actions will gradually degenerate and your unique opportunity will be lost. So that's that for that chapter. Now we're going to the chapter called The Three Types of Person, which is chapter 8. And I'm going to let His Holiness rip totally because he has a very good, this is from Here to Enlightenment, page 75 on. His explanation of the three types of persons, and it's follows the classic definition of what they are, but he embellishes them nice and shows you how you use them. Very, very well done and well translated by Jinpa. So again, page 75, starting Here to Enlightenment. I think this whole lecture is on tape because this was the lecture delivered in Lehigh, Pennsylvania at the sponsorship of the Tibet Learning Center out in Washington, New Jersey. I'm pretty sure it's on LAMRIM, on YouTube. Yeah. So anyway, so the question is, His Holiness is talking, how can we make our precious human life meaningful? To explain this, Khapa uses the concept that the persons are of three capacities, small, medium, small, medium, and great. To define the person of small capacity, he cites Atisha's lamp for the path. So in Atisha states, note as the least those persons who diligently strive to attain slowly the joys of cyclic existence by any means for their own welfare alone. I want a good life, next life, so that's my goal. Their primary aim is worldly happiness. Their approach to everything is shaped by that motivation. Atisha's text then defines the person of medium capacity. These persons are called medium who stop sinful actions, turn their backs on the joys of cyclic existence, and diligently strive just for their own peace. They want to get out of cyclic existence for themselves. The arhats, Theravada arhats, whatever you want to call them. The lesser liberation. That's temporary. They'll be roused out of that state, but that's their main goal now. Notice anyone who's trying to get rich in this life doesn't even get in the game. So the lowest practitioners worry about the next life. The medium, I want out of samsara. I'm getting out. And the main meditation for those individuals is to obtain freedom from cyclic existence. Now, there are practices that are tailored to each type of motivation. They are deeply disenchanted with all the apparent delights of cyclic existence. Here, sinful refers to the afflictions. Sinful actions means activities that lead to birth and cyclic existence. Practitioners of medium capacity turn away from such actions and diligently strive for their own peace and freedom, liberation from cyclic existence. Their main practices are the three higher trainings in ethics, meditation, and wisdom. In the context of the training in wisdom, they focus on the 37 aspects of the path to enlightenment. This is a big thing in Buddhism. Do we have time to elaborate? Yes, we do. It's a set, 7 sets, 7 sections broken down. And this is from the source for this is Jeffrey Hopkins' Meditation on Emptiness, page 205 to 06. So you want to go through it elaborately, turn to page 205 to 06 of Hopkins' Meditation on Emptiness. So the 37 are first in 7 sections. Section 1, 4 establishments in mindfulness. Mindfulness of body, of feelings, of thoughts, sometimes of the mind, and of phenomena. You hear those all the time. It's a common practice. There are books written on this. The 4 mindfulnesses. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of the mind or thoughts, if you will, and mindfulness of phenomena. These are achieved and worked on the lesser path of accumulation. Your interest. The second section, the 4 thorough abandonments of 1, afflictions already generated, the non-generations of afflictions not yet generated, the increasing of pure phenomena already generated, and the generation of pure phenomena not yet generated. So they made 4 things out of that. That's the middle part of the path of accumulation. Now, the 4 legs of manifestation. This you might like. It's a little interesting. They are aspiration, effort, thought, and analysis. Why are they called legs? They are called legs because they're the prerequisites for magical manifestation. You're going to magically manifest as you develop spiritually. The 4 exist unsimultaneously when a manifestation is actually being made, and they are serial when one is practicing magical manifestation, first generating an aspiration to create the manifestation, and then so forth. So in other words, it's actually made there altogether, and when they're being made, you have to have the aspiration, the effort, the thought, etc. So that's on the great path of accumulation, right before you went to the path of preparation. Now, the 5 powers: faith, effort, mindfulness, meditative stabilization, and wisdom. These are attained on the heat and peak path of the accumulation section of the 5 paths. The 5 forces: faith, effort, mindfulness, meditative stabilization again, and wisdom. This is on the forbearance and supreme mundane path of preparation. The 6th section, 7 branches of enlightenment: mindfulness, discrimination of phenomena, effort, joy, pliancy, meditative stability, and equanimity on the path of seeing. And then the last section is the 8-fold path: correct view, correct realization, correct speech, correct aims of actions, correct livelihood, correct effort, correct mindfulness, and correct meditative stabilization. Meditative stabilization goes all over the place. Anyway, these are dry technical categories. They're good for memorization, etc., if you're into that. But they're also good when you go through them with some explanation, and then you get an idea of what's going on. It makes sense when you take your time. So not everyone is interested in that. But that's one of the key things of Buddhism, the 37 facets to enlighten, not to be confused with the 37 practices of a bodhisattva. So then Tsongkhapa cites a teacher's definition of a person of great capacity. Those persons are called superior, who sincerely want to extinguish all the sufferings of others by understanding their own suffering. Key to practice right there. How do you generate the idea that you want to remove others' suffering? You see how nasty you feel when you're suffering. So you think of it in great length. Not only your pain in your neck and this and that, your fears, your anxieties, constant, uncertainty and all that is suffering. They realize that in themselves, and they realize, oh, everyone is like this. I can't let this happen. That's the opening of your heart. You're seeing others just like you see yourself. It's a big deal. These practitioners have insight into their own sufferings and then extend that same understanding to all other beings. They're not oblivious. Well, it's their karma, they're suffering, I don't care. You hear that a lot. No. They're there, they're with them. They are motivated to end the sufferings of all beings, and it is on that basis that they aspire to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. They practice both the ultimate and conventional forms of the spirit of enlightenment, as well as the 6 perfections. These practices are unique to the practitioners of great capacity. Yes, only the Mahayanas, the big Mahayana people, practice the 6 perfections. Because of this, the different aims, there are different practices that are as particularly pertinent for each of these three persons. So we'll pick up there next week on that because the time is low. We have who to pray for. We have Yang He Sunim 5,000 times, Frederick Joseph Bloss Sr., Carol Porteous Fall, and whatever else is on the board here. I can't see all of them. Tamara Capela de Melo de Souza, peacefully in Brazil. That's from who? Aradna. Aradna, how are you? All right, so may they be reborn in a completely pure land. Oh, these prayers are getting old. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak, Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He's completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the Great Yama, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of ocean of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be reborn in a completely pure realm. May they be born. So fortunate. The immortal roar of the hero for our teacher Tsong Rinpoche, without whom we would have not heard all these teachings. I assure you, this is not something I would have run into in my life as it was being led. So, be safe. He's in India. So, Om Svasti, fully permeated with countless sun rays of love and joy, wearing a black top knot adorned with heaps of coral. O Lord, granting all wishes for longevity, bestow upon the glorious three secrets the festivity of immortality. To the Lord of Speech, victorious Tsongkhapa Nawang Losang, possessor of the teachings and realizations comprising the countless rays of doctrine, Shedrup Tempe, great lamp skilled in illuminating the space-like minds of blessed beings, Dronme, we make supplications. Enriched with the treasures of both Sutra and Tantra, ruling over the world of four tenets, by means of the golden wheel of two wisdoms, may remain firmly as a peerless scholar, clad in the saffron robes of conscientiousness, saturated with the essence of pure morality, sublime foundation of higher birth and definite goodness, may remain firmly as a second Upali whose ethics are supreme. Skilled in emitting 100,000 cool rays of loving kindness to the miserable mother sentient beings tortured by the scorching heat of the vast variety of sufferings, may remain firmly moon-like and all-embracing. Like a Sangha in teaching the systems of Sutra and Tantra, like Shemendra in spreading garlands of poetry, like Dignaga in destroying all holders of perverted views, may you remain firmly for hundreds of eons as the glory of the doctrine and of all migrated. By the sublime blessings of the truth of the triple gem, and by the force of the infallibility of dependent arising, may the fruit of our prayers be spontaneously and effortlessly fulfilled. 8 verses for training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I had benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled of the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. So His Holiness is on, it says here, 11:30 our time. I think it's maybe 11. I would tune in at 11. It'll be a 3-part series in praise of dependent origination. The Tsongkhapa prayer, a poem that Rato Rinpoche gave us, the Lungyen, and requested by Marie last year ago, whatever. So August 4th, 5th, and 6th. So our 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Evening of the 3rd tonight, 4th, tomorrow, the 5th. That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you for your birthday wishes. We don't celebrate birthdays according to the Rebirth. Life became longer. It's a cause for celebration. Since it's becoming shorter, why are you celebrating? The Tibetan view. Thanks so much. Please be safe. The next class is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. That will be August 5th.